Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is John Stiles. I'm a marketing coordinator with SWK Technologies, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here all today. Today we'll be joined by Bill Gaustad, the channel manager for Mapadoc. And just to get a few housekeeping items out of the way, all lines will be muted during the presentation. We will record and distribute the webinar for you guys in a few days for your convenience. And if you have a question, please type it in the chat box at the bottom of your GoToWebinar sidebar. Hit send question to staff at any time during the webinar, and we'll do our best to get to you. And then without further ado, here's Bill.
Great, thanks, Jonathan, and hi, everyone. So, like Jonathan said, my name is Bill Gaustad. I am part of the SWK team, and I manage our EDI practice relating to Mapadoc. So, I've been with the SWK team for about 7 years, all of which have been within the EDI realm. So, really, what we want to cover here today is talk about, what we've been seeing in the marketplace as it relates to EDI and what our customers have to think about, and then secondly, how we solve for that and our approach. And so, if you like Jonathan said, if you guys have any questions, please enter those into the chat box. We'll have some time here at the end. This should probably take about 25 to 30 minutes time at the end to answer any questions. We can certainly do that live as well. So from an agenda standpoint, really what we want to cover here is, what we're seeing. One thing that we use the term fulfillment. And when we relate fulfillment, we talk about, retail, and if you're selling to big box retailers or, .com retailers as well. So what we're seeing there from a trend perspective and what our customers are having to do and what requirements are putting on them, what our role is in fulfillment, when EDI is a fit. Right, EDI is, in most cases, a requirement to do business with your customers. And so really, depending on who you're trading with, who your customers are, where we typically see EDI, being a fit. And then, a couple things at the end, how to engage our team. Right, I'll talk about some of the, from a pricing standpoint, what our structure is and what you have to think about and how we handle those components. And then, like I said before, any questions you guys may have. So, real quickly, I want to talk about who we are. So, like I said, Mapadoc is an EDI solution for Sage 100, Sage 500, Sage Enterprise Management, formerly known as X3, and we also have a solution out there for Acumatica. But we are under the SWK umbrella, and we've been doing this for over 20 years. We have a lot of experience, and we take our ERP knowledge, in most cases being Sage 100. And relate that to EDI. And we as a team, we've certainly involved. So we have over 30 people on the Mapadoc team that specifically support our customers that are using, one of our solutions. And how we do that is dedicated teams around sales support. So if you're being asked by a current client, or if you're looking at getting into new markets, a new client, looking at what are their requirements and what are they asking you to do. From a delivery or implementation standpoint, how we approach it is we look at ourselves as an extension of your EDI department, not just an EDI product. So we have a full team that knows EDI, but also knows the ERP, which is, equally important. Customer management and support. So EDI, if you've ever lived it, it's not a one-time thing. It's not one thing you install, say tomorrow, and then you're done with it. It's, your customers are, there's two things. One is if your customers that are, asking you to trade EDI, they may be changing their requirements or asking you to do more or less. And then secondly, as you're looking to get into new markets, you may be adding customers as well from an EDI standpoint. Two things that we've really been focusing on from the past couple of years that we've, from a customer experience standpoint that we've invested in is development and product management. So we want to make sure that not only our team knows EDI, but our product is able to provide our customers, the experience that, hey, listen, your customers, if you're being asked to do EDI, are, saying, hey, listen, we want you to do X today, but maybe Y tomorrow. We want to make sure that within our product and within our solution, we're providing that to you long term. And development and product management and listening to our customer base is where we're really seeing our, our team grow, and also our customer experience grow as well. Global presence, we most of our customers are here in North America, but we do have customers in Australia and the UK as well. So we support multiple models. One thing I'll touch on, throughout the call today is ERP and EDI experience. EDI is fairly simple. But as you relate it to the ERP, that's where it becomes more complex. How are you using the ERP? Which ERP are you using? What other solutions in the Sage or Acumatica ecosystem, especially from a shipping standpoint, are you using, and how can we relate that back to EDI? So we look at not just, hey, listen, what are your customers telling you to do, but more of how are you using your Sage or Acumatica system, and making sure that it's an integrated approach for you as a client. We are a Sage endorsed solution for Sage 100C, 500, and Enterprise Management, and we're also Acumatica certified as well. So really where I want to start, instead of just getting straight into product, is what we're seeing from a fulfillment standpoint. And just so we're on the same page, from a definition perspective, what is fulfillment? And at the end of the day, it's really simple. It's the end-to-end process of fulfilling an order to a consumer, including orders, shipments, payments, and returns. And there's other things within that, like inventory, routing, if you're trading with Amazon is a perfect example. But as we're talking today about what is fulfillment, that's really what our definition is, and what our definition is for our customers as well. So, we all, as consumers, as me, as Bill Gossett, as Jonathan Stiles, as you on the call, we all shop on Amazon, I'm sure, in one fashion or another. So there's this term out there now called the Amazon effect, and we use this as an example when speaking to clients of, hey, listen, what have you been asked to do, historically, and now what are you being asked to do or told to do tomorrow? And Amazon is a good example of that, because they're leading charge from a requirement standpoint, and others are following, such as Costco, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Wayfair, kind of name it. But really, if you think about EDI has been around for a while. It's fairly niche. It's all based upon who are you selling to, right? Who are your customers, and is it a requirement to do business? And historically, it's all been about brick and mortar. So are you selling to the big box retailers of the world? Are you shipping to their distribution centers? Are you shipping to their DCs and marking for store, for example? And that's changed, right? So over time, Amazon is, again, a perfect example of that, where our clients have had to ship to Amazon's distribution centers, then they send those to us, as in Bill Gossett or Jonathan, to our doorstep. And now our customers or suppliers are being asked to do something different, where they're either shipping directly to our doorstep, like Prime, for example, through Vendor Central or Seller Central, or as a where Amazon may be renting out warehouse space in our customers' warehousing. So our customers are being asked to take on more requirements and fulfill quicker. And so they're being asked to take on, automate more. So how is this affecting our customers? They're being asked to do more, so they expect more, right? So not just orders, invoices, and shipments, it's routing, it's inventory. And so our customers are looking at it from, hey, listen, I'm being asked to do this from our customers. I have to automate this in one fashion or another. And in most cases, that's through EDI. And what is planned for moving forward? They need to look at that technology as a way to be competitive in their marketplace, right? So not just serving the client, but hey, listen, I have competitors in our space. How do I solve for that long term? And how do I use, in this case, EDI as a scorecarding measure with my customers, right? If you check the box of EDI and you have a solution that works, you're comfortable with it, your customers are comfortable with it, that will put you ahead of your competitors in that space. And in EDI is, again, it's been around for a lot longer than I've been within the SWK organization. It is not going away. They're using customers or retailers are using EDI to support those trends. So what does this mean to our customers? I kind of touched on that to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, in the simplest fashion, we are, as consumers, right, as in, again, Bill Gossett, as I'm shopping on my phone on Amazon, we are becoming more discriminating. So we are requiring more options. I want my product the next day or in 2 days if I'm using Prime. If it doesn't, I was just talking to a customer yesterday, and if they're not selling through Seller Central, they don't have the option of Prime. So if I don't see something for my own person, if I'm shopping for my own personal benefit, if I don't see something on Prime, I'm not going to choose it in most cases. So we're looking at more ways to receive the product. I want it quicker. I want it tomorrow, or I want it within 2 days. I want the lowest price, and combining all that in together, I'm also better educated going into it, because all that information is available online to me whenever, on demand. So whenever I want it. So all these requirements, all these driving factors are coming from us as, personal consumers, and that's coming to us from a business perspective as we're dealing with our customers or our customers' customers, in my case, in the way that what they're being asked to do. So when you look at EDI, it's all about fulfillment, right? So you have the customer, the orders are coming in, you're sending out the invoices, you're sending out the acknowledgments, you're sending out the ASNs, but I do want to touch on just for a minute different components in that ecosystem that we have solutions for, but also what we're hearing from our clients. So find more product, right? So either if you have an existing client that you're looking to expand business with, if you have a net new client you're looking to get in the door with, how do they know about your product, right? From a sourcing perspective. And then, from hey, listen, I know about you as an organization. How do I know more about those specific products from an assortment perspective? So, you have SKUs, depending on the number, if it's 1 or 1,000, within that, they want to know the attributes to that SKU, right? So the size, the style, you name it. Fulfilling the product, so once you receive an order, that's where EDI comes into play. And then knowing what products are selling. So after you have a client, or either net new or existing, you want to know and being able to analyze that data. Hey, listen, I'm selling, which is great, but how am I doing in specific regions based on promotions from an analytical perspective? And that's something that we're able to offer our customers. That's not necessarily EDI, but it's important for our customers to be able to have that information to be able to serve their clients better. So how do we, from a integrated EDI perspective, manage that fulfillment process? So Mapadoc, again, is an integrated EDI solution, and we're embedded within the ERP platform that we serve, so our clients do not need to leave either Sage or Acumatica to process EDI, which is really important from not only an experience standpoint, but an efficiency standpoint. So we really look at ourselves as not just, hey, we have an EDI product, but our customers, we have over 500 customers today running our solutions, most of which are not EDI experts. There's two things that come to that. One is they don't want to be, and two, they don't have the resources or bandwidth to be. So it's not a core to their business. We do have some where it is, and we offer solutions for that. But in most cases, and what we're seeing in the marketplace is you can certainly go out, today online and buy an EDI product, and you can install it, you can, implement it. But a lot of that is taken on by you as an organization, where we are more of a full service model. So we don't just have, hey, listen, we can automate your day-to-day processing, but we actually see ourselves as your EDI department. So we work with the Amazon EDI department, the Walmart EDI department, because again, it's a different skill set and a different experience, and it's just something that can be, very time consuming for our clients. So we take that on, not only during the implementation, but ongoing as well. So if our customers, hey, listen, we implement Walmart or Amazon today, requirements are going to change 3 to 6 months from now in some capacity. So we take that on from a full service perspective to make sure that, hey, listen, our customers have an EDI solution. They don't need to worry about it now, nor ongoing. So we take not only just an integrated approach within the ERP, but also, hey, listen, we reach out to your customers on your behalf, so you don't have to do that from an EDI perspective. Now, I keep meaning to change this, and I don't know why I pick yellow, but beside the point, I think this is a really good, explanation of visual explanation of what our customers are, what they have to think about, right? And what, not just from, hey, listen, brick and mortar with e-com, if you're dealing with Commerce Hub today, I'm sure you know those pains, or Amazon. That's just one component of it. If you're shipping small parcel, LTL, if you outsource your warehousing from a 3PL, a third-party logistics company, that comes into the supply chain, right? And that's on the back end that your customers don't typically see, but it's very important to serve your client and make sure they're happy and make sure you can, one, increase margin and profit, and then two, increase volume as well. So if you have dealt with EDI, whether that's today, in a past life, if you're thinking about getting into it in a future life, I think it's really important to talk about the components of EDI just real quickly. Really, at the end of the day, I have 4 up here on the slide, but really I kind of bucket them into 3. One is, because if you're not familiar with it, EDI, there is a standard, an industry standard of, hey, listen, these are the rules of EDI. Now, unfortunately, not everyone, or no one, I probably should say, abides by those. So everyone has different requirements. Everyone wants to trade business transactions differently. They want different data, and they want it quicker. They want it at a different time. So these are the things our customers, have to be compliant with, and not necessarily have to think about, but be compliant with. So number one is connectivity. So how are your customers asking you to trade those business transactions? So a PL, invoice, ASN or shipping document, inventory. Everyone trades it a little bit differently. And then the second, I bucket the two into one, the mapping and translation. Hey, listen, they're going to be sending EDI in format A. How do I get it into format B so my ERP can take in from an integrated approach? And then lastly, where Mapadoc comes into play is the integration layer, right? So I kind of bucket the first three into kind of the network, if you will. And then how do I integrate that into our ERP, and how am I using that ERP? And so we partner with a company called SPS Commerce. They have the largest network in North America, and they connect directly to retailers based upon how they want to connect and their requirements. And then Mapadoc handles the integration layer in and out of Sage or Acumatica. But yeah, I know I'm kind of going through a lot of this during this presentation, but our customers do not need to think about these components, because the way we approach it, going back to that full service model, is that hey, listen, there's components of EDI. We just need to be compliant. We just don't need to make sure it's automated. That's what we take on for our customers. And so from a future state perspective, as our customers are looking at it, again, they don't need to leave the Sage platform. So their day-to-day, or Acumatica platform, if you're using Acumatica, their day-to-day is directly within, as another module within the ERP. So they don't need to leave to go to a different UI or user interface. And we take on the network, whether that's marketplaces, 3PLs, retailers, carriers, you name it. We manage those requirements on our customers' behalf in the cloud, and our customers live within their ERP from a day-to-day perspective. So if you're using Sage, I think it's important just from a visual perspective, if you're using Sage today and where we reside, what we look like, this is just a quick visual representation of what that looks like from a day-to-day perspective. So like I said before, our customers don't need to leave the Sage platform to process EDI. On the left hand of the screen here, you can see Mapadoc under sales order. We're just like any other module. So that couple things that benefits customers for. One is, again, they don't need to leave the Sage platform. And then two, we can leverage, since we're so integrated within the ERP, we can leverage a lot of what you're doing within the ERP for EDI functionality, right? If you're using a warehousing component in the Sage or Acumatica, ecosystem tracking component, that speaks to our solution, so we can, speak back to your customers on your behalf. So why integrated EDI? I mean, at the end of the day, and historically, EDI is a requirement to do business. So if you're trading with your customers, they're saying, hey, listen, in order to do business with us, we would either, one, you have to do EDI, or we would like you to do EDI. So that's where it's really born upon. And EDI can be done in a couple different fashions. One is an integrated approach, which we have to offer, or a, more of a, we call it rip and read or manual approach, where you're going to a portal, you're pulling that down and manually entering in the system. And that works fine for low volume customers, but as that volume grows or that revenue grows, it can become, less efficient and more risky. So the two things that we see that we solve for clients is we reduce the manual entry, right? So we want to make sure we're, as employees, they're being, they're being efficiently used within the organization, and then decrease risks. So if you're trading with Amazon today, and you're familiar with the term chargebacks, it can hit home. So, based upon if you're not shipping it on time, if you're not providing the right requirements, that hits against revenue, right? So integrated EDI is able to solve for that. Data integrity, excuse me. So if you're if you have a manual solution today and it's working fine, but you're having issues with, hey, listen, I might be fat fingering something or what have you, that is a risk that comes into EDI. Now, one thing I do want to touch on real quickly, because I know I'm talking about retail, and if you're, based upon who your customers are, is, we have customers that, get in the door with, hey, listen, I'm being told to do this. I need an integrated EDI solution. But they look at it as, hey, listen, now I have this solution within Sage or Acumatica. How do I flip that to my supplier community? So now that our customers are now in the driving seat, they're driving the requirements. I want to reach out to my suppliers. I want to trade EDI with them. That is something that we've definitely seen from a trend perspective, that our customers are able to leverage their existing solution to not only manage their customers from an integrated approach or automated approach, but also from a supplier automated approach. And that also comes back into 3PLs, or third-party logistic companies. So if you outsource your warehousing, EDI, if your 3PL is not using EDI today, I wouldn't say they're behind the game, but they're not necessarily staying competitive in their space. So the EDI is a mechanism in the outsourcing warehousing perspective to automate those transactions as well. And now, how do we manage integrated EDI? So again, there's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different components that come into EDI, and we cover all those from a full service approach. And that's one aspect of it, but really from a business process perspective, we align the EDI requirements to how you're using Sage or Acumatica. And so if you are based upon if you're using shipping data entry, or again, if you're using any sort of other third-party solution from a shipping perspective, we want to align the EDI requirements to how you're using the system. So really, we kind of speak to this managing the process to the solution, because we are very flexible. We know EDI requirements, we know the process, we know the ERP, and so we're able to relate that and really provide value to our customers outside, hey, listen, here's an EDI product, yeah, I'm compliant, but is it truly integrated? And those business transactions from a customer need perspective can relate to order processing, to shipping, to inventory, depending how you're shipping for. So if you're in, just shipping to brick and mortar, it's one way. Now, if you're shipping to a .com or doing drop ship, it's a completely different model. And we cover all that based upon those requirements. So I'll use Home Depot as an example. So if you have Home Depot as a customer and you're, selling goods at their stores, they have certain requirements for that. Now, if you're on Home Depot's website, they have completely different requirements for that. And Home Depot can be, exchanged for Wayfair. Now, Wayfair is mainly drop shipped. It can be exchanged for, Kohl's or JCPenney. Any retailer that is asking you to do multiple fulfillment models, they have different requirements. So we want to make sure that we're making that easy for our clients. Now, features and benefits, I think it's just kind of important to talk about a couple of things. One, we're very easy to use. Again, our customers are not EDI experts. They live and breathe in Sage or Acumatica, and we make sure that from a user experience, we're managing that. We validate the information, not only incoming, but outgoing. So we're making sure that the information from your customer is going to be valid as in sales orders in your system, and vice versa, making sure that when you're sending out information to your customers, we're validating that, hey, listen, it's coming from the right places in the system, but also it's meeting your customers' requirements as well. So that goes not only to EDI requirement validation, but multi-point validation as well. And then powerful reporting. We are very, very unattended, so our customers don't have a lot of touch points, and that's all in well. But if you don't have any sort of visibility into that, it can kind of defeat the purpose. So we have very, very powerful reporting on top of that. EDI document support. So we are able to be compliant with every EDI document your customers are being asked to do. And then it really looks at which ones does it make sense to integrate from either a customer perspective. Now, when I say vendor, I mean that supplier community. So sending your suppliers orders or receiving back invoices. The ASN, if you live EDI and you see, I'm sure you see the word or the acronym ASN, you can cringe. So we want to make sure we're able to automate that. And then warehouse documents as well. So if you're outsourcing warehousing, EDI is a huge component of that. So where does EDI fit? So it comes from your customer. Who are you selling to? Who are your customers? And then it can expand to what does your supplier community look like, or are you outsourcing your warehouse? So, big box retail, department stores, .com players. If you trade with Commerce Hub in any capacity, we can automate that. Commerce Hub has done a very good job of integrating themselves or being the liaison between .com retailers, and you have to go through them. Grocery, if you are trading in the grocery space, as a former consultant, I can tell you this: when I would work on grocery projects, I would, be excited because the requirements are fairly simple. They, getting up and running was fairly quick. Now that's changed, and that's another really good example of, an industry that has leveraged EDI for automation, and it has been fairly simple, but now they're requiring more from a lot perspective, a serial perspective, and then procure to pay, going back with that supplier. And then at the end of the day, if you're using any sort of web portals, regardless if it's a big box retailer or if you're using Ariba or iTrade, things like that, we're able to manage that process and integrate that process as well for our clients. So Mapadoc engagement, how do you engage our team? Again, we are part of the SWK umbrella, and we were born out of the SWK umbrella, and we're part of the team. Couple things I want to talk about before how you engage or how you contact us is the pricing components that come with EDI. So at the end of the day, you have three components. You have the software, you have the testing or setup and configuration, and you have ongoing transactional costs based upon your volume. So our software is based upon, we kind of make it simple, making sure it's, depending on your requirements, whether that's a small requirement, a medium requirement, or a large requirement, because everyone's is different based upon their customers and how many customers they're trading with, making sure that, hey, listen, we have all these documents available or all these functionalities available, but you need every single one, right? So we want to make sure we're fitting that need. And then from a testing perspective or implementation perspective, it is fixed fee. So it's based upon the number of trading partners you're trading with, right? And it's highly dependent. So if you're trading with 1, it's X. If you're trading with 10, it's 10X. So we want to make sure our customers, hey, listen, if you have 10 customers that are requiring EDI, which ones of those make sense to integrate and automate from an EDI perspective? And I mentioned this previously, but our clients are not EDI experts, so we take on everything from a testing perspective, from a management perspective. But we do have some clients, I would say less than 5%, but we do have some that want to take it on themselves. So, and I call that the training engagement. So in that situation, they may have 20 trading partners. We help them with the first 3, that we train them on not just the day-to-day, but how to do the mapping, how to do the setup so they can take it on ongoing. And where that's successful is, hey, listen, they have a lot of customers that require EDI, and 2, they have the resources in-house. But that's an open conversation we have with clients, and then ongoing fees. So that's all based upon your annual EDI volume. So orders in, invoices out. So we make sure that as we're going through a discussion with you, what that looks like. And then how to engage us, I wanted to make this, fairly just straight to the point. Again, we have a distribution list. I am based out of Minneapolis. Unfortunately for my wife, I'm available pretty on demand, but my contact information is directly on the screen from not only an email perspective, but you can certainly give me a call as well if you have any sort of questions or, hey, listen, we're using EDI today in some capacity, it's not working well. We can discuss if we're a fit for that to help solve, exactly what you're looking for. But, really that's what I wanted to go through here today with you. I really appreciate the time. I know it's, getting more towards the end of the month, so everyone is busy. But I don't know, Jonathan, if we have any questions at all. We certainly have, we blocked an hour. I wanted to be straight to the point, so we have about 30 minutes left. Any questions that anyone has, if you want to raise your hand through the webinar interface. Otherwise, we can reach out to you after the call as well.
Yeah, right now, Bill, at this time, I do not see any questions or raised hands.
Okay. No, and that's fine. One thing I did want to touch on, we are throwing a user conference in New Orleans next month in April, and we're doing 2 free raffle tickets for those who attended the call. So we'll be doing that following here in the next hour or 2. So that conference is something that we throw every year for our customers, for our partners, and others within the EDI industry to come not only meet our team, but also learn more about our solution and how we support our clients. So it's really beneficial not only for customers, but anyone looking at EDI. That's New Orleans, April 16th through the 18th. So we'll send some information out there following this call, and then also the winners for the free registration on top of that.
All right, well, I don't see any more questions, Bill, so I guess that concludes our webinar for today. Again, everyone, thanks for attending, and have a great day.